We are right at 1 o'clock, so I will get us going. Hello, I am Michelle Stewart, the Executive Director of Yampa Valley Sustainability Council, and thank you so much for joining for this discussion. Looks like we have a great number of attendees today, and we're looking forward to it. As many of you know, Yampa Valley Sustainability Council was established as a nonprofit in 2009, and we are guided by the mission to serve as a leader, resource, and catalyst for building a sustainable and resilient Yampa Valley region. These monthly community meetings are designed to convene community partners and members so that we can connect, discuss relevant community initiatives, identify common goals and challenges, and importantly, find ways to collaborate to create more impactful and farther-reaching programs and practices in our community. For this month's community meeting, we have the great pleasure of having YVSC's own Madison Muxworthy, Soil Moisture, Water and Snow Program Manager, and Kate Bricado, Communications and Program Manager, joining us to speak about our water conservation program at YVSC. This year's low snowpack, mapping onto our new baseline conditions of multi-year drying soils and droughts, and current forecasts for a warm and dry summer ahead, all make water conservation a timely and salient issue for all of us living in the snowmelt-dominated Yampa River Basin. How we use water in and around our homes matters, and as you'll hear from Maddie and Kate today, there are actions that you can take to be better stewards of our water supply and thus our basin. Before we move into Maddie and Kate's talk, I'll give a brief overview of how the meeting will be structured. Madison and Kate will speak for about 25 minutes, and then we'll move into a 25-minute roundtable discussion where I will cue in partner organizations and entities who will share updates on their work as it pertains to water and water conservation. At the end of the meeting, I'll open up the floor to public comment. During the talks and the roundtable, all are welcome to share resources, questions, and comments via the chat. If you have a question or a comment that you'd like to pose during the public comment period, you can either write your question in the chat, raise your hand, or make some sort of utterance until we see you and we'll let you speak and ask your question. Please remember to keep your microphone on mute when you're not talking. At this time, it is with pleasure that I introduce Madison Muxworthy and Kate Bricado, our featured speakers for today's community meeting. Madison Muxworthy is YVSC's Soil Moisture, Water and Snow Program Manager. She graduated in 2019 with a BA in Sustainability Studies from Colorado Mountain College's Steamboat campus. In 2020, Madison served as a research intern in the Scripps Institute of Oceanography's Center for Western Weather and Water Extremes, called CW3E, their summer research internship program, and conducted independent research on stream flow variability in the upper Yampa River Basin. That research internship, which was co-advised by mentors from CW3E, Colorado Mountain College, and Yampa Valley Sustainability Council, essentially established the foundations of our current Soil Moisture, Water and Snow program and seeded the partnership that we continue to build with CW3E, Colorado Mountain College, and Upper Yampa Water Conservancy District as we move forward on collaboratively installing a soil moisture monitoring network in the Upper Yampa River Basin. Being the first CW3E research intern herself, Madison has since played a mentorship role for our now annual summer CW3E, CMC, YVSC research interns. Madison is also co-chair of the Yampa Basin Rendezvous, an annual conference co-hosted by YVSC, CW3E, Colorado Mountain College, Friends of the Yampa, and Steamboat Ski Corps and Resort, that strives to connect water managers, scientists, and community members to discuss climate variability implications for the Yampa River Basin. This year's Yampa Basin Rendezvous is scheduled to take place September 22nd and 23rd. All are encouraged to join for that discussion, and please reach out to Maddie with questions. And now Kate. Kate Bricado is YVSC's Communications and Program Manager, who supports our sustainable gardens and landscape activities at YVSC. Kate graduated in 2020 with a BA in Sustainability Studies and a Permaculture Design certificate from Colorado Mountain College's Steamboat campus. Prior to joining YVSC as full-time staff, Kate worked at Colorado Mountain College's Steamboat Bear Park as an intern and assistant site manager, where she supported and led the design, implementation, and management of the park. She also supported and led site tours, educational programming, and park stewardship activities for visitors, including CMC students, staff, and community youth groups like Rocky Mountain Youth Corps. Kate continues to work with CMC Bear Park as a member of the Bear Park Steering Committee, serving as an important connection point between Bear Park and community initiatives. Together, Maddie and Kate spearhead our water conservation program activities at YVSC, which, as you'll hear today, is elevated by their collective knowledge of how water in the Yampa River Basin is changing and how outdoor landscaping and permaculture landscapes can be designed to advance water conservation and resilience. Our water conservation program is a partnership program with the City of Steamboat Springs and Mount Warner Water and Sanitation District, and we are grateful to Craig Scheckman Family Foundation, whose financial support of the program enable it to thrive. At this time, it is my sincere pleasure to turn the floor over to Maddie and Kate to hear about the actions that we can take to sustain water in our Yampa River Basin. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Michelle, and good afternoon, everyone. It's so nice to see familiar faces. I will just briefly start out with a little bit of context for our water conservation program and a little bit of the current conditions, which I think we're all apprised to, but I think it's just important to remind ourselves that that this is real and it's happening right now. So as residents of the Yampa Valley, we all know that our water resources are changing. We see this every day. Here locally, we've experienced 3 calls on the main stem of the Yampa River. The first call occurred in 2018, which was not that long ago, but it was the first for the main stem. The second then happened shortly after in 2020, and then we received a third call in 2021. The lower, middle, and upper parts of the Yampa River have now all been designated as over-appropriated, essentially meaning that there's not enough water to fulfill the needs of new water users in the basin, and they have to get an augmentation plan to have essentially a backup plan for water. And so that's something that's critical that's happened recently. And we're also seeing the impacts of aridification, which is showing up as extremely dry conditions. And I think to sum this all up, Brad Udall has said recently that climate change is water change. And I think that's really impactful and true, unfortunately. But the good news is that we do have solutions that we can address these water challenges. And as a community, we can take daily actions and then also longer term sustained actions to meet these challenges. And so to address water scarcity locally, YVSC partnered with the City of Steamboat Springs, Mount Warner Water and Sanitation District, and the Craig Scheckman Family Foundation to implement the program, which Michelle had briefly mentioned earlier. And it's our equity education and outreach program. And so we're really excited to be doing that now in our second year. And all of this program was built off of the district and city's 2020 water conservation plan. And so we adapted the goals from that plan to fit our program. And so those goals that we're looking to support the city and district in are achieving 10% water savings by 2030, which is for treated water demands, connect the community to action. And so we're doing this through increasing public education and providing opportunities for people to get engaged in water conservation. And then our other objective is to assess and develop education and practices in which we hope to advance equity within the city and district to access to water. All of us, I just want to highlight briefly that we can all take actions to conserve water in our daily lives. And these are 3 actions that I felt are very impactful and easy to do. And so the first one that I wanted to highlight is being mindful of the way in which we're using water. A lot of us don't really think about it. And so any way that you can be conscious of what you're using and then potentially seeing where you can use less in your daily life. Another important action is to ensure efficiency. And so one of the big opportunities here is within our households. For example, if you have an older home, you can replace your fixtures and that can actually improve water efficiency up to 20%. Thirdly, one of the largest uses of water in the city and district is for outdoor purposes. And so we know that this has a huge evaporative loss. And so consider switching to climate appropriate landscaping. And you can do this in a multitude of ways. And it can really be very beautiful, as you will hopefully see this summer through a couple of our programs. And so we all need to approach these challenges and remember that we all need to use less. And so I'm excited to just highlight a couple of our opportunities that we're gonna put on this summer and events. And so the first one that I wanted to briefly highlight is our Rain Barrel Group Buy opportunity. Hopefully some of you on the call have purchased your rain barrel so far. We're selling out of them quickly for this order, which is exciting. And so this is a fun and just easy opportunity for you to become more accustomed with the water that you're using on your property. Rain barrels became legal in Colorado in 2016, so it's a new and exciting thing that you can do. And so you can purchase them. I'll put the link in the chat. We only have 5 left out of the 50 that we ordered for this first order. So people are really excited about it. But if you're not able to get in on this first round, we'll definitely do another group buy order. And this is discounted pricing at $75 per barrel. And then you'll get the DEI kit, which you can, DIY kit, which you can set up the barrel yourself. And so it's a fun little opportunity. So purchase those. We have 5 left, and I'll put the link in the chat. And then I just wanted to highlight that overall, we feel that this is a really critical issue. And of course, the time is now to start taking water conservation measures. And so we're just excited to be bringing this programming and opportunity to the community. And I will now turn over to Kate Brocato, who's going to highlight a few of our exciting opportunities this summer.
Thanks, Maddie. In addition to our Rain Barrel Group Buy, we have a number of activities coming up this summer. We have partnered with 2 entities on upcoming plant sales, during which Maddie and I will share educational materials and speak with community members about how they can incorporate water conservation practices into their own gardens, yards, and landscapes. Through this work, we hope to continue to write a new narrative around what a beautiful yard can and should look like in the Yampa Valley, which may include planting native and drought-tolerant species, improving irrigation efficiency, replacing turf with xeriscape design, or simply letting our grass go dormant. The first plant sale is with Yampa River Botanic Park on June 3rd and 4th. Park staff and Routt County Master Gardeners will be on hand to help you make the best selections for your space. And the second plant sale is with Micah Gardenscapes in Oak Creek on June 11th. And we are excited to expand our water conservation education efforts to South Routt as well. Both groups have made a concerted effort to source perennials appropriate for mountain regions, including pollinator-friendly plants, natives, specialty alpines, and other garden favorites. And I'll put the link for the Yampa River Botanic Park sale in the chat. This year, YVSC is also excited to partner with Strings and Colorado Mountain College's Bear Park Permaculture Center on their annual Kitchens and Gardens tour, which is taking place on July 9th. Every year, Strings holds the Kitchens and Garden Tour as a fundraiser for their programs, during which attendees will have the opportunity to tour 4 beautiful homes in addition to Bear Park. The Permaculture Center is a site focused on education through hands-on learning in permaculture design, which is a method of sustainable agriculture. Notably, Bear Park features a 3-season growing dome, which will be open for tours during the event. Maddie and I will be on hand at Bear Park to highlight the many water conservation design features and practices that have been implemented throughout the site, as well as answer questions about how attendees may incorporate these features into their own gardens. Lastly, we are excited to announce, and let me share my screen here. That, hold on, I'll share it after I explain. We're excited to announce that we will soon have sustaining water yard signs available for community members. Though through these signs, we hope to spread the message that our community is invested in and committed to water conservation. They are a great way to highlight what a water-wise yard can look like and to encourage our neighbors to incorporate some of these practices into their own landscapes. These signs are available to anyone who is completing one of the actions that we have listed on our website. I'm just going to share my screen now. So I'll put the link to our website in the chat after this, and you can see those lists of actions there. We're also, accepting if people reach out to us and kind of explain some of the efforts that they're taking in their own gardens, we can give out signs as well. So we're just asking for a picture or an explanation of what you're doing at home to deserve a sign and to share it with your neighbors. So these will be available next week, and you can reserve them now. So the link will be in the chat, and we hope to get some great pictures of your yards and what you're doing at home. That's all for me. Okay, there we go. That's all for me. Michelle, we can move into the partner comment now, and Maddie and I will be sharing updates for Julie and Frank since they weren't able to make it today.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you so much. And really, thank you for the overview.
And I will move into Julie's update. Just a second. Okay. So Julie would like everyone to know, we can find it. There we go. So the city is focused on a number of efforts to improve water conservation, education, and activities through their facilities. Some of their priorities include continuing to monitor and upgrade the city's water distribution system infrastructure to reduce water loss. Sorry, my computer's being fussy. The city budgets $1 million a year for their water main replacement program. Upgrading irrigation systems in city parks to more water efficient technologies and equipment, and looking for opportunities to convert turf to lower water use plantings and landscape features. Identifying additional city facilities and public spaces for water efficient demonstration gardens. The city has budgeted for consultant assistance to review and update the city's landscaping standards by better integrating water conservation into land use planning and community development code. Establishing a rebate program for outdoor water audits, smart irrigation systems, and turf replacement, and creating an online portal for water customers to access up-to-date usage information. Those are Julie's updates, and I will turn it over to Maddie for Frank's updates.
Awesome. Thanks, Kate. I will now share Frank Alphone's update. Frank is the general manager of Mount Warner Water and Sanitation District. Both him and Julie wanted to be here today, but unfortunately they had conflicts. And so we're just excited that we can share the great work that they're doing here with you today. And so Frank wanted me to mention that the district's focus on water conservation is currently on a partnership, which he's very excited about, with the Grand, the Ski Corps, and YVSC on ways that we can work with the Grand, which is actually one of the highest water users in the district, to increase water conservation at the hotel and outdoor purposes at the hotel. And so he wanted me to mention that there's been 3 meetings so far, and there's been a number of different action items that have been identified and ways that we're going to try to kick off this program together. And so the first point, he says, is data acquisition, which includes their numbers on water consumption, cost of water, demographics of building occupancy, that relates to short-term rentals, how many people are coming in for conferences and things like that. The next action item is building equipment and information. And so trying to think about the equipment that's actually physically in the ground, and what are the water consumption and efficiency opportunities there with potentially upgrading. The next is doing internal and external audits of the hotel. This would include working with a local contractor who specializes in water management, and they would perform water audits, like I said, in both indoor and outdoor, and then create a water budget for the Grand that they can use to identify how much water they should be using and opportunities to cut back water use. The next is water conservation opportunity assessment. And so thinking about best management practices that the Grand can incorporate to increase their water efficiency. And that'll be something that comes out of the audit process. And so a couple of the items that he lists as potential opportunities are leak detection, that's a huge thing, water efficient landscaping, and just a bunch of other things that are really thinking about opportunities to increase efficiency and conservation. The next is an educational campaign in which we're hoping to work with them to provide some sort of in-unit communication, like in the rooms, how can people conserve water when they're staying at the Grand, and really just communicating with individuals who actually own units at the Grand on ways that they can also conserve water. And so we're going to think about ways that we can develop targeted communications for that. And a couple of other items that he mentions is the Grand is actually very interested in doing switching from a daily clean, which means that they're going into every unit every day and fully cleaning, and it's very water intensive. And so he wants to switch, or the Grand wants to switch to only a final clean, which would really limit their water use. And they're also looking at other opportunities to install motion sensor faucets and things like that in all of the bathrooms and common areas, and thinking about their actual commercial laundry operation and things like that, and opportunities for efficiency. And the whole goal of this program is to really try to create some sort of template that other hotels can use in the community as well, to increase their water conservation. And he also wanted me to remind everyone that the city and the district do have the watering schedule, which is an every other day watering, and it's based off of your address. And so if you're not familiar with that, you can go check it out on the city or the district or YVSC's website. And so that's our update for right now. And that's from Frank Alphone. Thanks, Michelle.
Great, thank you so much. So now we'll continue around with our partner updates. Next, we have Scott Cowman, Director of Environmental Health with Routt County. And Scott, it looks like you had a tee-up question come into the chat.
Yes, I saw that.
Like one from Chris Murphy. So you're on point, and thank you, Chris Murphy, for your question.
Yep, that's a great question, because I'm here to talk specifically about gray water, and that was what Chris was asking about. How much time do I have, do you think?
So you probably have about 4 minutes, 4 or 5 minutes.
4 minutes. Okay.
Yeah, like 4 or 5 minutes, but I think it's an important topic. So
I guess I can't share my screen, but I don't have to. I have a presentation that I recently gave to the Board of County Commissioners, and I posted this presentation on our website. So Routt County Environmental Health, gray water. And so anybody can go into that website, and I encourage you to, and you can review that presentation.
Scott, sorry to interrupt, but I did set it up where you can share. So if there is something that you'd want to show visually, you're able to now.
Okay. All right, can folks see that?
Yep, we've got it.
Okay, so I'll run through this pretty quick, and of course, feel free to contact me if you got any questions about gray water. So really quick, when we're talking about gray water, we're talking about reusing water. Those sources can include bathroom and laundry room sinks, bathtubs, showers, and laundry machines, does not include water discharge from toilets, kitchen sinks, dishwashers, non-laundry utility sinks. They can be used or reused in a couple of different ways. One is laundry to landscape, where you are collecting gray water, and instead of going into a septic system or a municipal system, it's going into the ground, laundry to landscape. And those systems have some requirements. It looks a lot like what a leach field would look like. The other way is to reuse in toilets. So that means you're storing gray water in a tank and then reusing it before it goes on to a septic system or a treatment system. Those systems are pretty complex. They take a lot of space. And you got to make sure that you are maintaining separation from drinking water sources. The state came out with Regulation 86 for gray water in 2015. Since then, only 3 jurisdictions in the state have adopted those regulations, and I don't believe that any permits have been issued. And there's some reasons why. That being said, local jurisdictions can opt in to a program. We can adopt Reg 86 by ordinance or resolution by the board. It does require operator certification, an operation and maintenance manual, and also an oversight control program on our part. So there's definitely some hoops to jump through in order to start to make that happen. I'll skip details on the O&M manual. So the pros of a gray water system or having adopted those regulations is you're using less water overall through reuse. You're reducing potable water used for irrigation. It costs a lot of money to treat water. And if you are on a vault or a cistern, you're going to reduce your costs because you're using water more efficiently. Cons are that it could result in a higher strength wastewater going into your septic system. Probably not an issue if you are part of a municipal system. I talked a little bit about the complexity of the plumbing. That's expensive. Of course, the operation and maintenance requirements and regulatory oversight on the part of a local jurisdiction. There's also a water rights issue and a question of whether if you have water used for domestic use and then you use it for irrigation, is that consumption? And so there's still some issues around water rights that need to be resolved. So this is something that I'm keeping an eye on. The state, the CDPHE, is going through a triennial review of the regulations and trying to address some of the problems, including the water rights. And so hopefully later this summer, they're going to come out with something that is a little bit more user-friendly, and that might interest local jurisdictions more to adopt those regulations. So like I said, this presentation is on our website. I'm happy to answer any calls. I still haven't figured out if gray water is spelt with an A or an E, but that's what I got. So happy to answer any questions also.
Great, thank you so much. That's a very timely issue to talk about. So if anyone does have questions or wants to continue the discussion, we'll have time at the end for public comment. We should have some time, and then of course reach out to Scott directly. And so next we have Michelle Meyer, Executive Director with Community Ag Alliance.
Cool, thanks, Michelle. Great information, Scott. Thanks for sharing that. So Community Ag Alliance has been working on water-related issues for probably over 10 years, but in a different vein, obviously more focused on agriculture, so on consumptive use. We partner heavily with the Yampa White-Green Basin Roundtable, which is a bit of a mouthful, but I would encourage anyone who wants to learn more about water policy issues to go to their website. There's a whole host of information. And the roundtable is one of 9 state mandated roundtables. So it's volunteer led, it's stakeholder driven, kind of grassroots up to help inform state policy around water related issues. Those seats are appointed, there's voting members, and then our role with Community Ag Alliance has really been to provide support for that work, and especially around outreach and education to agriculture around water rights, including efficiency issues. So a lot of the work we do is driven by the roundtable. There's, again, a tremendous amount of resources, information on their website. So I would encourage people who want to learn more about that to go to that roundtable website. And just to be clear, that's not just for agriculture. The roundtable has representatives from municipalities, from industry, environmental reps, recreation, and agriculture. So it's this idea that all of us probably have more in common than we do differences, especially when it comes to water. And we all want a healthy river system, and we need to work together and come up with community-driven solutions to make that happen. So that's a great resource and a place to kind of learn more about water policy. A project of the Yampa White Green Basin Roundtable over the last 3 years has been an integrated water management plan. There actually was just an article that the pilot picked up that came out of Aspen about stream management plans. Same thing, just different terms. We have a Yampa integrated water management plan. There's a page on the Roundtable's website that talks about that. There's about 30 community members, many people that are on this call, that for the last 3 years have been working to that same goal. We all want and need a healthy river system. How do we partner on that? How does agriculture work with recreation to help support the environment and the fish, and make sure that our cities and towns and businesses all get the water they need? We are kind of in the final push of that integrated water management plan, with the goal of by this summer, we'll have a summary report and recommendations that will then go back to the Basin Roundtable and again, help inform policy decisions, funding priorities, again, for recreation, environment, agriculture, all of us working together on multi-beneficial projects. The last piece of some work that we've been doing, that Community Ag Alliance has been doing, is kind of it trickles down from that. This idea that if we want to try and find beneficial projects that help not only an agricultural producer, but also overall river health, who's doing that? Does a farmer or rancher have the time to do that? So we've worked in partnership with River Network, wrote a grant, and are doing a pilot project where we have 2 contractors who are out in the community, one in South Route and one kind of more focused in West Route, to help ag producers make projects happen. So the idea here is if you maybe need a new head gate because you're not able to divert all of your water right, or you want to get more efficient because something's leaking or not working properly. Yeah, we can help replace that, but how do we do that in a way that maybe helps fish passage or maybe helps the riparian habitat so that we're keeping the whole entire river system healthy, not just one narrow focus. So really getting out of our individual silos and trying to think about how do we all work collaboratively to support a healthy river system. A piece of that absolutely is efficiency, in terms of making sure that we're using the water that we have available that's allocated to individuals or the whole river system effectively and efficiently. So that's been a big focus for us. That's kind of an outcome of that integrated water management plan. We have about 1.5 years left on that grant, and then hope to be able to sustain funding on that so that we can continue those types of projects here in the Yampa Basin. Again, with this goal of, we have a healthy river system now, but to kind of Madison and Kate's points, we know that the climate is changing, has changed. We need to be adaptive on that. And what do we do together to help keep our river healthy? So that's just a few updates. There's information on the Ag Alliance website. And again, I think the Yampa White Green Basin Roundtable website's a great one. There is a roundtable meeting this evening. If anyone really is super excited to get onto Zoom more, you can go to their website and anyone can join their public meetings. They're open. You can go in person to the Moffat County Fairgrounds or join on Zoom and learn more about that organization. They meet every other month, so either this evening or then not till July. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Michelle. Next, we have Jenny Friesen or Friesen, so you'll have to correct how we pronounce it, but welcome. A new addition to Friends of the Yampa. So Jenny is the Environmental Program Manager. And welcome, Jenny, and please correct how I botched your last name. I apologize, but welcome.
No worries. Yeah, Jenny Fritzen. It's like there's a silent H kind of.
Okay. Thank you.
But I'm the newly, I was just hired for the new position of environmental program manager with Friends of the Yampa. For those of you maybe not familiar with Friends of the Yampa, our mission is to protect and enhance the environmental and recreational integrity of the Yampa River and its tributaries through stewardship, advocacy, education, and partnerships. I was hired for a particular program, the Yampa River Scorecard Project, which is one of the things that is taking a lot of our organization's time right now. It's an effort to provide consistent long-term monitoring of river function and to communicate the data and the findings to the public in an engaging way, and then use that information as a resource to inform future river management decisions. If that sounds interesting to you and you are interested in maybe learning how to do some field sampling, CMC is offering a course from I think it's June 8th through the 17th. The code is SUS 375, and that it would be open for people to go on rafts and learn how to do water sampling techniques. Some other things that Friends of the Yampa is working on right now. Riverfest is coming up. It's the 42nd annual Riverfest, June 3rd through the 5th. We're still looking for volunteers for Saturday, June the 4th. You can find information about that on our website. The State of the Yampa River is kind of the bookend, the end to that weekend river festival. That will be on Sunday night at Library Hall at the library. Currently, there is an art installation at the Barley called Runoff. It's Yampa River inspired artwork. I encourage anybody to go down to the Barley and check that out. And there's an event on May 19th that's called a Tap Takeover by Telluride Brewing Company. So if you're interested in the big event for the art installation, it's May 19th. And let's see, finally, there are still spots available for Friends of the Yampa youth summer camps in Craig. And if you're interested in, I think the ones in Steamboat are full, but the ones in Craig have spots available. So please go to the website and check that out. I think we have an update, but that is not going to be regarding the Yampa River Fund, but I'll leave that to Andy Bauer when it's his turn to go. So thank you all so much.
Great. Jenny, thank you so much and welcome. We're all delighted to have you.
Thank you.
And next we have Andy Bauer, Yampa River Fund Manager with the Nature Conservancy, who's going to unveil the announcement. And it's always a pleasure to see you, Andy.
Great to see you too, Michelle, and everybody, and welcome, Jenny. And thanks for everyone for sharing such great info. Appreciate it. I got to get a rain barrel. So big announcement yesterday that came out is something we've been working on for quite a while, is that Friends of the Yampa will be taking over the management responsibilities for the Yampa River Fund from the Nature Conservancy this fall. So really exciting news for both organizations. This is something that's been in the works since before the Yampa River Fund even launched, that we would transfer the management entity responsibilities to a local organization. Friends of the Yampa has stepped up to take on those responsibilities. We still have to go through some formalities with board approval and revising our core documents, but so far, so good. So congratulations to Friends of the Yampa and everybody. Secondly, we have the Yampa River Fund Steering Committee met yesterday to make its decisions on funding for the third round of grants, the 2022 Yampa River Fund grants. I cannot reveal the results yet because we haven't contacted all the applicants, but look for an announcement soon. We were able to grant out $203,000 to organizations to do great work and great projects on the Yampa River, and details will be following soon. So thanks, everyone.
Great. Thank you so much, Andy. And next we have Kristen Jesperson, who is also a new addition to the community. She is the recently hired executive director with Epitika. And so she is in transit, but a warm welcome, Kristen, and it's a pleasure to have you join us.
Hi, everyone. Nice to see you all. As Michelle indicated, I am brand spanking new to this position. So I don't formally start until July 1st, and I'm just kind of trying to keep the ship afloat in the meantime. So I will probably have to deflect any opportunities to implement anything in the near term until then. But I'm really excited about this position and leading up Epitika. We are celebrating our 30th anniversary this year. And I see already many opportunities to partner with each of the organizations on this call, and look forward to doing so. I will say we have our Wild Edible Feast taking place on May 26th, which is a great opportunity to learn a bit more about our programming and that which is directed at adults. And it's fun. So if any of you are available, you should consider attending. Otherwise, with regard to the topic of water education, we are also a recipient of a Yampa White Green grant through the Basin Roundtable. And we have been using that to ensure that water education is made available to students throughout, I think it's K through 8 grades in Yampa, no, in Routt, Moffat, and Rio Blanco counties. So we have an extensive list of the programming that we have offered in the 2021-22 school year. And so that's been really exciting. We have a full-time water coordinator who is ensuring that that programming is possible, and we will be pursuing another grant in the upcoming year to continue that programming and look to grow it and determine how we can structure it to ensure maximal impact. So on that topic, that is kind of where we're at. Otherwise, as I said, I'm still really getting my feet underneath me and learning about all of the programming that we're offering throughout the Valley, which is quite extensive. So thank you for your patience as I onboard. And again, I look forward to working with all of you in various capacities.
Great. Thank you so much, Kristen, and welcome.
Thanks for inviting me to speak.
Yeah. And next we have Todd Hagenboo, County Director and Agricultural Agent with CSU Extension.
Thanks, Michelle. And you introduced everybody else as new. I'm glad you didn't say old timer, Todd Hagenboo. I appreciate that. We'll keep that between you and me. As we're talking about saving water, Michelle wanted me to drive home a couple things that we're working on here in the Extension office, especially as we're talking about it is planting season and gardening. Our master gardeners will be starting their weekly office hours between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. on Thursdays, beginning tomorrow. And we'll do that through mid-September. So when you have gardening questions and you want to know if this is a good plant or a bad plant, let us know. Questions are already coming in via email big time. And this is an important point of information for you all to remember as you're helping gardeners and thinking about how we redo our landscapes. I got a question from someone who was new to the area asking how they zero-scape, Z-E-R-O-scape. That is a parking lot, is zero-scape. What we're looking for is xeriscape, X-E-R-I-C for xeric plants. So just a reminder that xeriscaping is what we're going for, native plants. And a tool that I want to share real quick with you all, since I've been given permission to share my screen, is you should see the Plant Select page coming up. Go to plantselect.org. You might remember that Plant Select is a program of Colorado State University and Denver Botanic Park. And these are plants that have been tried out for our area. And we've got trial gardens and demonstration gardens all across the state, seeing how these plants do. If you click on this button, search right plant, right place, you can go to this site and figure out, what are you looking for? Are we looking for annuals, perennials? What type of trees and shrubs? Click on all these different little icons you can see on the left side, and it will pop up with the perfect plant for the perfect place in your yard. Plant Select is a program that we've been doing for many years at CSU, and it is such a great resource for folks. Want to let you also know, Kate and Maddie were talking about different things going on at the Botanic Park. Master gardeners will be there for their plant sale on June 3rd and 4th to help people find the right plants for the right place. And we will also be doing our annual evening with the master gardeners in conjunction with the Botanic Park on June 22nd. So put that on your calendar, June 22nd, 5:30 to 7:30. The master gardeners will be there to tell everybody. We'll have a fair type setup, help people figure out what they want to plant, where they want to plant vegetables, what things are going to do well here, and how to save water as well. On the ag front, so getting off the garden side just a little bit, on the ag front, do know that we are continuing to use the Legacy Ranch for some exciting things. That's always changing, kind of figuring out what we can do there. But we are trying to figure out, in terms of water conservation, some of the things we can do. Some of you might know that we installed some low-cost soil moisture sensors there last year. One of the reasons we did that was to trial that. Those were created in by CSU students. Unfortunately, they were not, they did not give us correct data, which is why you do these experiments, right? So we're still working on that. We're going to be doing some edge of field studies in South Route, Legacy Ranch, as well, to see how we can make sure that we're not getting fertilizer runoff from our ag areas. And we're also working with the Routt County Conservation District and Colorado Department of Ag on the STAR project, which is Saving Tomorrow's Agricultural Resources. So several things going on this front with Extension Office Michelle. And if you all have ideas of more things we can take on, let us know. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Todd. Always a pleasure. And now we're all corrected. We won't think about pavement as we think about sustainable landscaping. And so we have reached the end of our partner list, those that had comments ready to share, and we have a good time for open public comment and questions. We also additionally have some partners on the call. So at this time, if any of the additional partners, I see, we have the chamber present, also Ski Corps, anyone else, if you want to share updates, and or we could use it as an opportunity to ask some questions. So I'll open it up. And I guess we did have the one question from Chris Murphy, but it sounds like Scott Kalman answered that. But if there's any other clarifications with respect to gray water. And Scott, I think that it's out whether you use an E or an A. I think it's a British versus American spelling. So it's a friendly audience to probably use both.
Yeah, well, and Susie helped me out with that. And if there's nothing else, I have an exciting announcement hot off the press that HB 22-1355 Producer Responsibility Program for Recycling has passed.
Whoa.
And so I'm not sure all of the implications. I'm going to have to talk to the waste diversion director about that.
Mm-hmm.
But she said, puts the cost of recycling on the producers of packaging, will provide standardized recycling for all of Colorado. And so I guess we'll be learning more about that and what the implications are locally, but I'm glad that we have a lot of information, studies, and so forth in place. Yeah, Dakota is excited. So yeah, I think that we're in a good position to be able to work with that. So exciting news, hot off the press.
That is exciting news. Really, really exciting. And yeah, that's huge.
Can I also consider, since we're lauding our legislature, they did pass this week also a bill to invest $5 million into the Colorado State Tree Nursery at CSU, where we get our trees for retree. So that'll be much needed upgrades to the tree nursery, which will help us quite a bit in the Yampa Valley. So that's also good news on work the legislature did in these last days, getting things through.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I might just, since Cody has connected from the depot, so we have Dakota Dolan, our zero waste coordinator, and then sitting next to her is Connor Burns. He is our newest addition, zero waste technician. So both of whom are supporting zero waste program activities. And it really, really is exciting to have an opportunity to move forward with really supportive legislation that's going to make recycling education and practices more uniform, increase transparency, great successes there. So bringing it back, I don't see any questions trickling into the chat, but I just want to bring it back and say thank you to all of these fantastic partners. Water continues to be one of those issues, resources that really bring the Yampa Valley together. You know, we have strong agricultural foundations, cultural heritage there, efforts to increase efficiency, and maintain ag as we know it for many of its ecosystem services. And we have environmental change that is shifting the ways in which we know the river, in our basin. So opportunities to forge forward together. great opportunities to partner between CSU Extension, thinking about how we create our yards and our landscapes around our homes, around our businesses. Many opportunities there to conserve water, all for the purposes of maintaining river health, riparian health, and keep the river healthy that makes the Yampa Valley region what it is. So thank you, all of you, for your great work. Looking forward to continuing to build partnerships. If you heard opportunities to create new partnerships, start conversations, that's really the goal of these community meetings, is because we know our impacts are scaled when we work together. So the water, the river, it is a great opportunity to conserve, to sustain. So looking forward to it. Thank you, Maddie and Kate, for the great overview of our programs, which is really focused on supporting water conservation measures around kind of the built environment at this present moment, and looking always for opportunities to collaborate. So I will conclude the meeting if no one has any other final details, but I just want to say it's always energizing, inspiring, and encouraging to hear about the great updates from our partners. Keep up your awesome work, and welcome, Jenny and Kristen. Welcome to the community. We look forward to working with you and everyone else. Keep up your awesome work. Happy Wednesday. We look forward to being in touch.